This is a Power 98.7 podcast. Now we're talking. Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
Our time is 13 minutes after 2 o'clock. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Power Zone on Power 98.7. A big thank you to everybody that has been with us from midnight to where you find us now. We're going into this hour looking at issues of cultural appropriation. All right. And just look at these developments around Somizi. The reason why we're putting this under the spotlight is because there's been a debate around media personality Somizi Mhlongo. He set the social media abuzz this time over a picture that he shared of himself dressed in traditional Ndebele attire meant for married women, right? He was standing next to renowned Ndebele artist Dr. Esther Mahlangu, and the photo really saw a lot of people touched literally in their studios. Those that are Ndebele, they were not having any of it. One of them is an activist, right, and painter, Khotso Mahlangu, who found Somizi's choice of clothing as disrespectful. Khotso pointing out that the Ndebele blanket and idzila, the copper or brass rings worn by Somizi, are reserved for married women. So we're looking into this with Lungile, Nika, Kalon, Mabena, and you at home, you can also just weigh in. I want to hear from Ndebele or what is happening. I have one here in studio, Sandile, and then Sandile will give us a sense of what we're picking up from this conversation here. But Lungile is a poet. Lungile is an author. And here we're going into this conversation with Lungile on 0861 987 000. There by X, we go by at Power FM 987. Lungile, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Hi, are you well, Lungile?
I am well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for giving us your time this morning.
No, thank you so much. My name is Dr. Lungile Mabena.
Dr. Lungile, I really appreciate you coming on, especially when there's this hot topic around cultural appropriation. How does one move? Where do we draw that line? The lines can be blurred sometimes. And also looking at the fact that this person that was wearing this outfit would be a celebrity. Sometimes we see them getting away with a lot because they are in the public eye. But others would say there's a responsibility that they would have as well, being in the public eye, just to protect culture, not distort it, and the likes. This is the debate that has been going on here. Maybe give us a sense of, what you picked from that picture when you saw him standing next to Mama Esther Mahlangu, and if indeed some of these concerns can be justified.
Okay. Now, before I get into everything, I just wanted to introduce myself a little.
Okay,
I'm a spiritualist, a cultural activist, writer, author, blogger, international poet, theater performing artist, radio contributor, and by profession, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
So what makes me different from other writers is the fact that I focus on African culture and spirituality. So, yeah, what I can say, Guguti, ngaphasi kwesintu, we have what we call stages of life.
Yeah.
We have a toddler, we have a young boy and a young girl, we have teenagers, we have young adults, all those stages of life. So under African culture, in each and every culture, not just in the Ndebele culture, we have these stages of life called Ingaba Zokhula. Now, Ingaba Zokhula, there are rituals performed in each and every stage. And also there's traditional attire or regalia that has to be worn by a specific person. And yes, under African culture, attire, iya ngokuthi ubelethe unjani, are you a male or a female? So you wear a traditional attire according to your sex, what you were born with, right?
Yeah.
So now, what caused a havoc on social media is the fact that Somizi was wearing a Ndebele traditional attire preserved for married women only in the Ndebele culture. So idzila in the Ndebele culture, it is a Ndebele wedding ring. It's now nangabe usibuza ukuthi, okay, if you are married, what is a ring? What is something that shows ukuthi this woman is now married? That is itila, those gold rings around the neck. So now the blanket, it differs. So the Ndebele blanket called umbalo, unokhethwako, ikumbese. We have 3 names for the blanket. We wear it after going through initiation school. Now, because we understand that we live in an age whereby we have storytellers. We have people that will want to go into theater and retell our stories as Ndebele people. We have celebrities that want to explore the culture. We can compromise giving the blanket to someone like that. But what we cannot compromise is how it should be worn. Now, that blanket, the only time we cut it into half and then it becomes short, it's only when a married woman is supposed to wear it like that. Meaning that when it comes to male, the blanket cannot be cut into half, just like Leah Somizi. If you've seen pictures of Tando Mashango, that's how Isogana or a male should wear a Ndebele blanket. Same goes to the young women that we have. So it differs when it comes to a married woman. That's why ikhathiweka ituna bese yarubela ngomncamo, the beadwork around the blanket. So basically, what we are fighting for, or what I am fighting for on social media, is ukuthi someone came into our land and wore traditional attire yethu ngendlela ebekungasiyo, inappropriate. Yes.
So let's talk about some of these issues that are out there. Are they public knowledge? What was he supposed to do in terms of the responsibilities on his end, but going into the Ndebele area? Because what we see here is just him excited. We're here to meet Mama Esther for the first time, and as I was saying, that he's a celebrity. Chances are he went maybe to a stylist to say, I want an outfit. I'm going to the Ndebele. I'm going to meet Mama Esther for the first time. And then this is what he got. How do we actually go about in interrogating some of these things? And would it really then be important and pivotal that we all do our groundwork, our research, so that we don't find ourselves stepping on people's toes?
Yes. So here's the thing. There's no way you can visit someone's land without doing a researching up. You go there, you have an interest. It's not like you were invited and you were caught by surprise. You knew you were going there. So basically, maybe you're going to do some research. That's number one. Point number two, if I had to go to KwaZulu-Natal and when I get there, Bangnikela traditional attire, that is as same as King Misizulu, I should question that. Could be, how come am I a woman but wearing like a king? It should make sense. It's common sense. Because in each and every culture, it differs. When you're a male, you wear like this. When you're a female, you wear like this. So if Usomizi came to Ndebele and then Bamnikeli attire leyo, was Bonaguti, he is wearing like Gogo Esther Mashango. What was I'm wearing like this old woman. So nothing happened into his mind. It's not possible. So he had the responsibility of asking.
This Inkabazokula and the stages of life, are they a spiritual connection to them? Are they culturally deep in terms of saying, you will be maybe probably even upsetting the ancestors if we find that you are there, that we shouldn't actually take it lightly because there are deeper meanings that are attached then to Izinkabazokula as you go through various of these stages. And when you get taught about culture, what to the do's and the don'ts, there are deeper meanings that are linked spiritually to what is happening. Some of these developments that in portraying that. Because he is a celebrity, that sometimes we could be even more or less stepping on the ancestors' toes, or even those that have come before us.
Yes. Okay. Everything is a spiritual experience. And yes, the attire holds a very spiritual spiritual importance. When a young woman in the Ndebele culture goes to initiation school, the attire changes. We have what we call isitimba, and we make that using a goat skin. It covers the back, right, the lower body. So only women that have went to the initiation school are supposed to do that. And the spiritual reasons, unfortunately, I cannot discuss them on the national radio, but only those who went there know what the spiritual reasons are. But it has to do with infertility, embracing the fertility of the women and everything else. So by wearing an attire, it's not just trying to look beautiful. Yes, the ancestors are involved. Spiritually, you are involved. We have what we call umqhele in the Zulu culture, the one that they wear on the head. You've seen Abosdaba wearing it. We have a similar thing. Now, when you are a married man, you wear umtocho. But when you're not a married man, you wear umbode. And the design is different. The skins that we use, the animal skins we use, is different. So the spiritual impact is also different. It's more like graduating. You know, the belt. You can just wear a belt because you are graduating for a diploma, but you are wearing a PhD gown and sort of. You understand? It's a similar thing, and the importance now when it comes to ancestors is very, very, very. It's huge, actually. So that's why when we shared it, we said it's an insult to the Ndebele ancestors and as a whole. It's more like you are disturbing things spiritually in the Ndebele culture.
Yeah, do we see, Dr. Lungile, some of these, issues becoming, or it becoming important for education around some of these issues, even for Ndebele? I have one here in studio, Sandile, and I'm not sure if he was even aware of some of these things, if he knows, about Inkabazokula and the links traditionally, culturally, to all of these developments. Do you think that there would be then a need to ramp up more education? Do we see that happening, maybe in households, to say that they also bear that responsibility of saying, when you're still young, as a Katlego, as a Sandile, we teach you some of these things, and then it's a way of life, so that you're able to even protect the very same culture, the very same tradition, when it looks like it's being distorted. Sandile, were you aware of some of these development? Were you aware of how they're worn at these stages of life, that sometimes you may be stepping even on the ancestors' toes, because 2000, they have their own ways of doing things, Dr. Lungile. So you may find that they're creating their own path that we're not even aware of, that is, far off from what would be appropriate here. Sandile?
Lochani, Doctor, from my side, it's a thing of, like you said, a lack of education. I did not know until now. I'm only learning about these different types of attires and all these things only now. So I think indeed it does go back to teaching, educating, and informing. And I think also we've tend to, in the Samizi case, we've tend to educate only like the Ndebele people, or when it comes to Zulu tradition attires and whatever, the Zulu people. But what goes into actually educating other languages as well, that as much as they want to incorporate their traditional attires, they are mindful and are aware of what type of clothing they need to put on and what do they not need to put on. So I think it goes back to education also. Is it there even? Is the information accessible? Can I just easily go on Google and find the information, or I have to now think of a Ndebele friend that I know who,
Dr. Lungile,
yes, like Dr. Lungile in my contact list? Or is it a thing of, is information easily accessible?
Especially now when you see people, how about invited to a wedding and their theme is Ndebele. So when you would just look on the internet and look for an outfit, could take it to a designer and say, this is what I want in these colors, and then they be creative, not knowing that you're actually more or less crossing the line, or you are bordering on insensitivity on some of these issues. So that becomes very important. I would literally would go on and Zoom, and check out on in the internet if they are saying there's a theme, there's the color, and then you basically run with it without knowing that actually there's a deeper meaning here. When I looked at it, the picture Lisomis, I just saw Dr. Esther and I got excited. I didn't even zoom into or what was he wearing and everything else. And it goes then to say that there's a need then for ramped up education around some of these developments, culture, traditions, so they're also preserved for the future generation. Dr. Lungile.
Yes, I have to say with the parents' responsibility of instilling these African values and the education. But remember, everyone is scattered now. Not all Bapedi people are in Limpopo. Some of them are in Joburg.
True.
So that's how they lose the education. Number two is that we did have educational structures as Africans, but we all know what happened when slavery apartheid came, and we are still trying to recover from that. And number two is I am trying so hard to put out the education out there. That's why I'm on Wikipedia, I'm on Google, I'm on WordPress, and these articles about the Ndebele attire, they are there available. And what I can say is that our struggle as Ndebele people, we are still trying to fight for a platform to educate people. Because what I can say to you right now, you are the first person to interview me about this topic. And when did it happen?
Yeah,
so that's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. So we're still trying to fight for a platform as Ndebele because we're not being given a platform where we can share who we are, what we wear, what we eat, and our history. And every time it was September, people publish articles about the false history of Ndebele, saying we come from the Zulu people, whereas that is false. We don't come from the Zulu people. So we are trying so much to fight alongside Nabotando Mashango for a platform for us to teach these things. That's why when I say I'm a writer and an author, I'm talking about Google, I'm talking about Wikipedia and WordPress. Those articles are there available. However, people will not know about me because I'm not given an opportunity or a platform to present myself, just like the one that I had today. And by the way, thank you.
Yeah, no, please, Dr. Lungile, let's make it somewhat of a recurring thing where we are intentional about educating people out there, especially where they are a topic of interest or you have something that you want to share. Please don't be shy. Reach out. Let's actually spread as much noise as we can so that we don't see the distortion that would play out there, and we don't see people then finding themselves in the red when it wasn't your intention to be offending people. So let's try by all means. But I like what you said there, Dr. Lungile, about families, about parents being intentional as well about some of these things, because you're just one person, but if we start there in the home when they're still young, and we teach them while they're still young to also know how to protect, because we won't be here forever. So you need to pass it to the next generation, and this would go a long way. So please do come back. But before we let you go as well, please share your details so that we follow your work and people are aware. I love the fact that when we started, you paused a bit to introduce yourself, so that people can understand what you're bringing on the table, and so that they're able to really get the best out of you, knowing very well what you do and how actually we can support your work. So who are you on social media? Do you have a website? Where can we go to follow your work?
Okay, on Facebook, I'm Lungile Nika Kelon Mabena. Nika is spelled like N-I-C-A. Kelon, it's K-A-L-O-N. Mabena, that has an H. And then on Instagram is Dr. Lungile Nika Kelon Mabena. TikTok, and then I have a WordPress blog, which is African Culture and Spirituality.wordpress.com. But as soon as you follow me on Facebook, you're going to find everything there. The links are there. I think it's best if people follow me on Facebook.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely do that. Dr. Lungile, thank you very much for giving us your time. I really appreciate it. And
Siyathokoza, sizakubonana kusasa.
Yeah, no, please let it be Kusasa. Let's do it soon, Dr. Lungile.
Please.
But really, really appreciate you giving us your time this morning.
Thank you so much.
All right, Dr. Lungile, Nika Kalon Mabena. Please do check her out on social media. Nika is spelled Niica. Kalon is Kalon Mabena. She's doing a lot of things, a lot of things, right? I'm just looking at her cap. Like she's wearing this cap, she's wearing that cap, she's wearing that cap. But it's beautiful because all of them are connected. And you'd understand when you check her out also on various of the social media platforms. Really, really loved that conversation, and also eye-opening, right? They open our eyes, they test us as well as to what do you know, how far do you know, and what do you need to do in terms of closing that gap. So Sandile, you have a homework.
Yeah.
You have also a responsibility to your siblings because you are the firstborn.
Yeah, most
right?
definitely.
So you have the siblings. So when you get taught some of these things, when you pick them up in the streets as well, just try explain to them, break it down, because then it can be tricky. It can really, really be tricky. But I want us to break a bit. We're going into our Monday devotion feature. And I told you that this morning we're closing the show off with Muruti Den Tlhabane. And Muruti will be coming through to talk to us about changes, right? Some of them are just there. They come when you least expect them. You're forced into that change. But how do you navigate it spiritually? What is...
You've